Sword Art Online Progressive Scherzo of Deep Night movie release date has almost arrived, so here's one last trailer explained, featuring some secret meetings, hugs and tears, changes to boss mechanics, and removed characters. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone, it's me Gamerturk, your best source of Sword Art Online information, and this is Sword Art Online Progressive Explained, featuring the last long trailer. If you're new to my Explained series, what I do here is essentially provide you with all the key information from the source material light novels, and this Progressive Explained is brought to you by my Amazon and Book Depository affiliate links for Sword Art Online Progressive Volume 4 featuring Scherzo of Deep Night itself. If you're interested in reading the full story with all of its details and drama, check the description for the links. But with that, let's cast away the sly foxes spreading misinformation and get on with Progressive Explained. Obviously, spoiler warning, and you can leave the video as I mentioned that you can watch the trailer with English, Turkish and Polish subtitles by clicking the icon on the top right, but if you're still here, I'm assuming you're in it for the spoilers. We begin with clips from the Ariova Starless Night movie with new Mito lines talking about how she regrets being the one to pull Asuna into SAO in the first place by inviting her, and how she would be able to continue her life normally if it wasn't for Mito. And of course, her farewells to Asuna overlaid to Asuna crying in Kirito's arms. In one of the earlier Scherzo Explained videos, I assumed this would be a scene where Asuna has a breakdown due to the way both Lind and Kibao, the leaders of the two main guilds, Dragon Knight's Brigade and Aincrad Liberation Squad, handle Kirito and her in public, but more and more I'm starting to feel like this scene has something to do with Mito and Asuna's duel with her. But hey, that's the spicy thing about anime original editions, it keeps even us, the light novel readers, excited to see what comes out of the movie. But once the trailer properly opens, we already have a lot to talk about. Kibao and Lind leading players into the floor 4 boss room to take on Wythege the Hippocampus, aka the Water Horsey. If you've been following the previous explained videos, you already know this boss fight is from the previous book, Barcarollo of Froth. And the scene right here is already a massive change from the light novels and confirms a bunch of cut characters. You see, back in the light novels, Kirito and Asuna arrive quite late to this boss fight due to having caught up in the final step of Floor 4's L4 campaign quest, and once they arrive not only with some additional allies, but also key info regarding the floor boss that the players inside did not have prior. Well, but in the movie version right here, we can already see Kirito and Asuna are right there during the speech, and we know Argo is there as well. But the additional allies they were supposed to have, the Dark Elven Guard Kismel and Viscount Theophilus, are nowhere to be seen. Basically, they would arrive late and pretty much save the entire raid party from drowning in the room, because the boss's main mechanic was to basically flood the entire room, and someone would have to open the door from the outside when they saw water leaking underneath, which is also why you see all the bars around the entrance. It's to let the flood out once the door opens while catching the players relatively nearby. Following this, the editing is a bit frantic and jumping back and forth between scenes, but the person talking here is Morte. Well, he is a recurring character, much like Joey, who you have already seen at the end of Aria trying to stir up trouble. Scherzo is a highlight floor for these PK gang players and revolves around their main plot to cause imbalance between the two clearing guilds. If you want more specific info, you can watch my movie story overview video made possible by the full track list titles of the movie soundtrack. We get a very quick glimpse at a piece of paper, and so detailed that they even included the messy writing on the final bit, which is the reason why this piece of paper was thrown away, that eventually led to Asuna finding it in a moment of true despair for her. And yes, it does involve the PK gang members. We get to see some more floor 4 boss fight action. Remember all the flooding and stuff, with Kirito saving Asuna by pulling her behind a pillar. All of this is technically movie original, as Barcarollo of Froth just skipped over this boss fight in about 3 paragraphs. Particularly Viscount Theophilus that Kirito brought together with them made a mockery of the entire battle back there, because he was able to completely bypass the boss mechanic by actually being able to walk on the water. In a sense, I actually do like the change of not including ultimate hacks being brought into this fight. We see the mournful wraith bit, which I already talked about extensively in prior videos, so I'll spare you that. You can check the previous videos if you don't remember or are curious about it. But they even sneaked in the floor 4 clearing scene. You can see the water horsey shatter in front of Kirito and Asuna here. I guess it's not much of a spoiler or anything, it's like the first 10 minutes of the movie, but I still found the edition quite interesting. And again, there's just so much back and forth in this editing. We get a scene from the hill, then from literally the very end of the movie, the New Year's celebrations with drinks and fireworks, then back to the beginning of the movie with Shivata, Lita and Accel and everyone else celebrating the defeat of the horsey, then back to the hill again with Kirito's sharp words that the worst comes your way when you let your guard down, like they are going through on floor 5. We get a lot more footage from the Asuna vs Mito anime original duel, of course with Mito being an anime original character, and then we jump over to the floor 5 boss fight against Fuscus the Vacant Colossus. Yeah, the movie is actually quite damn packed with content. We see Argo getting captured by one of the hands of Fuscus, and this is from the early phase of the boss fight before the entire Colossus actually appears. In fact, you can make out the difference between phase 1 and phase 2 of the fight. Phase 1 has the room covered with the blue tint and these laser-like lights on the ceiling and on the ground, which is part of the phase 1 mechanic of the boss fight, whereas phase 2 has the neon purple cover everywhere. And in a separate short trailer, they have even showed the blue light mechanic. It's essentially trap lights that trigger what you see happens to Argo over here. Meanwhile, the one speaking is Shivata, a trustworthy member from the Dragon Knight's Brigade, who was confronted by Kirito about the plans of ALS without going into detail, and says he cannot just idly stand by as such a plan progresses, and agrees to help Kirito in the endeavor of taking down the floor 5 boss with a small and secret team instead. The rest of the trailer is generally cool action moments from the Fuscus the Vacant Colossus boss fight, but my focus is on a specific one because that leads to the confirmation of another cut character from the movie. Nezha from the guild Legend Braves. He's the pivotal character of the Floor 2 story Round of a Fragile Blade and was a key member of this boss fight as well. He used a throwing weapon called the Chakram, which was quite handy in counteracting a mechanic of Fuscus, as in the novels, nobody was able to reach Fuscus's head on the ceiling or his limbs if they were to spawn from the ceiling. However, we can see in this specific shot that they altered the room design to accommodate for the cutting of Nezha, and that the sides of the room have these stair-like structures for agile players to quickly scale and reach the higher portions of the room, and you can see it is Argo taking care of that task in this shot in the background. Unlike the other big change that was at the beginning of this video, I'm sad on the removal of Nezha. I think it was less of a matter of character that was supposed to have been introduced on a previous floor and we did not cover that yet, so we can include this character here, and more about having really a lot of new characters in spotlight in this movie, mainly Argo, Litan and Shivata, as well as Lind and Kiba, of course, getting a much increased focus compared to the previous contents of SAO. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. It's been quite a short one for a long trailer, I know, but I was already very detailed in previous trailers that I did not want to retread the exact same things I talked about before and just, focus on the new things or scenes that changed my expectations / assumptions, like how it was basically confirmed that Kismeliophilus and Nezha would not be in the movie. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, as this week the movie releases in Japan and we expect the next movie announcement as a post-credit scene. That's at Gamerturk95 on Twitter to not miss any of those news. Also, I know most of you still don't have an official release date worldwide, but stay tuned to This Week in SAO here on my channel every Monday. Countries are slowly dropping the release dates and I'm covering it all in the weekly twist show. But if you made it this far, comment fireworks to let me know. Huo, if you're watching this, feel free to do Hanabida instead. If you have questions you want answers to, use hashtag AskGamerturk and I will make the video specifically to answer them too. If you enjoyed this explained, do leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell icon for future SAO explained content. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter for the fastest news possible. A huge thanks to all my patrons and channel members as always, and until next time, stay cool.